Hello everyone and welcome to my video on whether or not life makes sense. Life is not easy. Every day we struggle, sometimes with even the most mundane things. When we find something to do, life can become simpler. There is always the threat of losing momentum. However, we don't need momentum. Everything we do can be useful. Sudden insights, deep philosophies, cultural manifestations, etc. Everything can be there, big or small, and we can learn from this. I'm writing this essay today because life can seem meaningless. We just don't see what the point of anything is, and we are overwhelmed by emotions, experiences, and opinions. This is where we see the fundamental divisions in life. Matters of state, matters of thought, and matters of difference. Matters of state are situations in which unchangeable affairs need to be managed. Matters of thought are situations in which spirituality plays a part. Matters of difference are those in which political goals are involved. In life, we must think about certain things. Thoughts can be difficult when they cloud our vision, confuse us, or otherwise enter into our life. This is what psychology calls diffusion. Life, psychologists think, is basically thoughtless. It is only when we start metacognition, thinking about thinking, that thoughts become obtrusive. Diffusion is then necessary to disconnect our thoughts from our mind and return to life. Of course, this is not the whole story. We are, for all intents and purposes, thinking beings, as humans, and thinking is constantly there in our minds. This we might refer to with a Taoist term as the big image. The world of thoughts and reality are interconnected in many ways, and there where we can see them all together is where there is the big image. In the big image, there is the practice of Wu Wei, or effortless action. Literally, it means not doing. And here is where we find peace of mind through thinking only what we want to think. Still, we don't really think it, I believe. That's just a philosophical way of stating the obvious truth. We don't know what we mean by thinking. Taoism also speaks of the jewel that we hide through the practice of Taoism. This is a more complicated concept. I suppose we could say that this jewel is philosophy itself. Now, you might consider philosophy a subgenre of literature, or you can consider it a way of life. But either way, philosophy is about gaining wisdom or speculating about the meaning of life. Of course, it is wrong to think about the meaning of life all day. We also have to focus on the task at hand. However, some people, for example religious figures, spend all day explaining the meaning of life to people in metaphors and stories, and in this way they endeavor to make the world a better place. However, we have seen in history that most religions are damaging in some way or other, or can sabotage progress. Still, in today's world, many people still look to religion to discover what more there is to life than just living. Returning to psychology, however, we can see that the big image is often just a matter of mental health, and if we are rational, as Stoics might say, we are also in tune with the cosmos. But this all esoteric talk of the big image and the hidden jewel is all a bit mystical. To counter this, I would call on the work of German psychologist Sigmund Freud to help us discover the deeper layer to this problem. Behind all the beautiful worlds, what is going on with our minds and our lives? Freud claimed that this is all about sex. However, we shouldn't misunderstand his position. Freud doesn't say that we should strive to get laid all the time. In fact, he claims something along the lines of the complete contrary to this. In Freud's view, we might say, the big image is the rational human being, but more so, he might claim that this human being has developed beyond the mere rational agent into a kind of mature individual. Here is what I would refer to as the taming of the mind. A truly elevated person, in the sense of the Taoist philosopher who possesses the jewel, is no longer confused by his thoughts, no longer bothered by the pangs of metacognition, but instead lives in a blissful oneness with life, again in the psychological sense. and is no longer a slave to his passions. However, he still doesn't deny himself what he really wants. Reason, the way I see it, is an agent of repression, also a term of Freud's, which means the bringing under control of dangerous biological urges. Freud believed that what man really wants is an aggressive, volatile thing, often expressing itself in violence and debauchery. But I think that the truth is that we don't really know that. People can be peaceful by nature. Everybody is different. After all, we should not forget that Freud spoke for a privileged upper-class Europe that esteemed warriors and masters. I don't know what the meaning of life is, but I can see that life is not necessarily meaningless. If we can tame our minds somewhat, it seems that we can enter into the thoughtless life of modern psychology and live a happy, tranquil existence. As for what we really want, I suppose this is different for everybody, and so life can make as much sense as it does to you as an individual. Therefore, the formula I leave you with after this essay is know thyself. If you know yourself, you will know if life makes sense. Thank you very much for listening.